In the rolling hills of the Italian town of Assisi, a tale unfolds, the narrative of a man named Francis. Born into affluence, he embraced divine simplicity, forsaking opulence for poverty and humility. From big spender to little poor man, his journey resonates through centuries, intricately woven into the fabric of Christian devotion. How does the life of this revered saint echo in our modern world? Unveiling an enigmatic path, the narrative illuminates his enduring influence on the Christian faith across ages. In the last days of March, as the sun timidly graced the heavens, a lone rider embarked on a journey through the hills of Umbria. The earth beneath was covered with a damp shroud, remnants of a modest night rain. In the darkness, after the Mass in a nearby town, the rider ascended the hills, steering his steed as the sun first appeared. The rider's name was Francis, son of wealthy local cloth merchant Pietro di Bernardone. Cloaked in steel armor, adorned with the opulence of gold edging and a familial crest, he cut a gallant figure against the rustic landscape. To the oblivious onlooker, Francis seemed the very embodiment of a chivalrous knight, destined for grand adventures and heroic exploits. Yet to the inhabitants of the hill town of Assisi and its surrounding valleys, the family crest etched upon the armor revealed a different truth. Instead of riding towards the heralded feats of knighthood, he was retracing the trail back to his familial estate. Francis, despite the gleaming armor that spoke of valor, harbored no pride in his heart. Just a week ago, he had set forth to join a military campaign against Emperor Frederick II in southern Italy, envisioning a path to knighthood strewn with accolades and honor. His eagerness to prove his mettle as a knight echoed both personal ambition and that of his father, who had spared no expense to equip him with a splendid suit of armor. But with the adornments came the weighty burden of expectation. Recollections flooded Francis's mind, the day when his father, displeased with the armor's craftsmanship, lectured the blacksmith in the grand hall of their family home, dictating precise instructions. "These rivets are a joke. And that gold edging? It's so uneven, I'm getting seasick just looking at it." Pietro rebuked the blacksmith with a touch of disdain. "I demand armor that screams invincible, not, I gave it a half-hearted try. In the state it's in, I wouldn't put this armor to protect a scarecrow." As Pietro continued his tirade, Francis, seated at the grand table, struggled to suppress his laughter. His father's gaze ascended. "Something amuses you, Francis?" "Sorry, father, it's just what? This isn't a spectacle for your amusement. We're no minstrels here." Pietro thrust a finger at the blacksmith. "This man toils harder than you ever did, crafting a suit of armor for you to uphold the family name and not disgrace our house. And what do? Francis the big spender, they call you. Squandering our coin like there's no tomorrow. All your revelries, banquets fit for royalty, you've turned spending money into a performance art. If you remember, I joined the war against Perugia. I was in the Battle of Collestrada." His tone dripped with indignation. "Ah, yes. Your triumphant saga as a military luminary. An unforgettable chapter," his father replied wryly. "I remember your heroics ended with you spending a year in a dungeon as a prisoner of war. Who do you think secured your release? It was me, and believe me, it wasn't cheap." The words cut deep into Francis. His year in the prisoner's dungeon had prompted somber reflections on life's impermanence. Yet he returned home, remarkably unchanged, still upbeat, confident, and zealous. He sought recognition for not succumbing to the ordeal as a broken man. "Would you prefer I perished in that prison?" he challenged his father. After a short pause, Pietro responded, "I'd prefer my son brought glory to this family, not shame and financial ruin." As Francis ascended the steep path, his elaborate armor resonating with each hoofbeat, he dreaded the impending task of elucidating his abrupt return to his father. The notion of confessing that his decision was fueled by dreams seemed preposterous to a rational mind. Yet for Francis, the dreams held a potency that defied reason. Few nights before, in the nocturnal visions, his ancestral home unfolded, adorned with crosses on every wall, a sight that, in itself, might have convinced him of a righteous military cause. However, it was the unequivocal message that reverberated within him. Stop serving your earthly master and start serving your heavenly Father. A command so potent, it compelled Francis to reassess his entire military trajectory. Reaching the summit, Francis laid eyes on his family stronghold, a formidable stone castle surrounded by towering walls adorned with banners displaying the family crest. Entering the gates, he dismounted, the courtyard echoing with the clatter of hooves. A pang of guilt gripped him, foreseeing a frosty reception as his father approached with a stern inquiry. "Francis, why are you here? What's going on?" "Well, father, I didn't make it out of the province of Umbria," Francis stammered. Pietro's impatience flared. "Clearly not. You're right back where you started a week ago. I assure you, father, I did my best. But I fell ill during the journey, and then the dream I had, you see." "A dream?" Pietro scoffed. "I was unaware our family fortunes were now tethered to the realm of dreams. We build it with wealth and influence. Dreams won't put bread on the table or gold in our coffers." The uneasiness that had taken root in Francis's heart grew. "Father, the dream spoke of a different path, a higher calling." Pietro's irritation escalated, punctuated by a disdainful chuckle. "A loftier calling, you say? We are merchants, not monks. We answer to profit, not to the whimsy of dreams." Retreating from his horse in the courtyard, Francis made his way to his chambers, shedding the burdensome armor. A sudden lightness enveloped him. From the window, he overheard his father's boisterous discourse with his mother, discussions of familial shame and the impending ridicule from other households. His mother's footsteps and gentle knocking followed, but Francis sought solace in solitude. Slumping onto his bed, he closed his eyes. As months passed, the transformation in Francis was undeniable. Friends vanished from his social sphere, summer revelries were ignored, alcohol abandoned, and meals became a mere formality. Weight loss marked his physical change, and solitary strolls across the hills replaced once-frequented gatherings, all while immersing himself in the verses of the Bible. "Do not love the world, or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not for them. For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, comes not from the Father, but from the world. The world and its desires pass away, but whoever does the will of God lives forever." His parents, stalwarts in the community, faced Sunday Mass in the town church, receiving sympathetic condolences from others. However, beneath the facade, they sensed a shift in their social standing. Whispers of Francis's eccentric behavior, idle walks through fields, contemplative moments with insects, and rumored conversations with birds intensified. In their eyes, Francis was losing his sanity, a stain on the family name. For Francis, these concerns held no sway. Happiness and freedom were his companions. The town's opulent church mass lost its appeal. The spectacle of wealthy families engaging in religious rites, only to return to their material pursuits soon after, felt out of place to him. Instead, he sought solace in prayer within the ruins of the San Damiano Chapel, a humble sanctuary amidst the hills. How can one pass a tree without joy at its sight? Speak to a person without happiness that love resides. So many beautiful things surround us at every step. Even the most lost soul finds beauty. Look at a child or witness God's dawn. Observe the grass as it grows. Gaze into eyes that reciprocate love. The hills embraced him, secrets carried by warm breezes. Wildflowers painted meadows, echoing Francis's emotions. Amidst this tapestry, an outcast figure sat by the roadside, a leper wrapped in tattered robes with outstretched hand. A compelling force gripped Francis, the call to love unconditionally. His heart, once tethered to worldly concerns, expanded to embrace the leper with a love transcending societal divides. The hills of Assisi bore witness to this transformative encounter, where Francis, moved by a love-defying norms, approached and embraced the leper, echoing the teachings of Christ. Offering coins and sealing the encounter with a kiss, Francis discovered a humility transcending boundaries, realizing that to love the marginalized was to commune with the divine. That evening, in the shadow of the crumbling San Damiano Chapel, Francis sought solace. As the night veiled the ruins, he prayed by the flickering glow of a solitary candle. In that moment, a celestial voice, the gentle call of Christ, resonated, directing Francis to rebuild the church. This cause became a fervent mission for him. However, a daunting question persisted. how to obtain the necessary materials when he lacked the means to pay for them. Unhesitating, he turned to his father's textile store, where opulent fabrics adorned the shelves. Acknowledging that his father would be reluctant to part with such valuable textiles, Francis made a daring decision. Without seeking permission, he appropriated the fabrics and ventured to sell them in the town's marketplace. Pietro, discovering the disappearance of his cherished fabrics, succumbed to fury. This was a step too far. Learning that his son had sold the family's wealth, he summoned Francis with a stern rebuke, igniting the clash between earthly possessions and divine calling. In the courtyard of the bishop's palace, Francis faced accusations of theft and disobedience. His father, incensed by what he deemed reckless and irresponsible, demanded restitution for the sold fabrics. The bishop, an authority in both spiritual and worldly matters, presided over the conflict between father and son. In response, Francis, with a determined gaze, began to take off his clothes. Stripping himself of fine garments, he handed them to his father, piece by piece. Onlookers and the bishop observed in astonishment as Francis, now standing half naked, renounced not only earthly possessions, but also his very name. "I give back to you, Pietro, all that is yours by name and by nature," declared Francis. "Henceforth, I shall only say, 'Our Father who art in heaven,' forsaking the title of my father Pietro." The bishop, moved by the sincerity of Francis's commitment to the divine calling, offered his cloak to shroud the newly ordained servant of God. And so began Francis's transformative journey, characterized by humility, self-denial, and the embrace of poverty and rejection of earthly possessions. In renouncing his earthly identity, Francis discovered a profound communion with the divine, paving the way for a life consecrated to poverty, love, and the devoted service of God.